What's up YouTube? My name is Amisbro. This is episode 36 of the anime review series. And this go around we're looking at the second request for the month of June, which this may go into July now. And we are looking at Attack on Titan. Finally, yes I know. This one was requested by MrKombatGaming, who I want to now strangle after he put me through this. He requested this series, and because of the rules, I had to do it. So, I will tell you this now, just so we're clear. Regardless of the grade, the series is done. I'm retiring it. It will not be reviewed anymore. Not the OVA, not the movie, not anything. I'm not touching it ever again. Okay? Just want to make that clear now. That's the first time, by the way, that I've ever said that about a series that is ongoing. But as we get into, you'll find out that there were some things that... It wasn't that the series was necessarily bad, but at times it was goddamn boring. And I'll explain why. So, here's the setup. The year is 845. The main characters are, at least at the start, Mikasa Ackerman, Armin Arlert, I believe I pronounced that right, and Eren Yeager. Fun fact, Yeager is spelled by many fans with a J. If you look up the, and I'll even provide a link to it, the My Anime list, it's with a Y at the very beginning. They also, in Mao, list the name of Hanji Zo as H-A-N-G-E. So, when I wrote it, I wrote using their pronunciation of the name. So anybody that goes through my notes and they read, wait, but it's Hanji as H-A-N-J-I, but he wrote it G-E. That's why, because that's literally the way it was spelled. I wanted to clear that up because I know that's going to happen. Anyway, you have these three characters, and they live in this town. Now, I forget the name of the town. It's a big one. Anyway, it's a big, long name. That's all I remember. And they live here. Alright. Well, one day, Eren's chilling. He takes a nap, and he has this really weird nightmare about a Titan, apparently, or something invading their town. Now, they were out in the wilderness where the Titans roam. Okay? What we got is a situation where they, you got Eren, who's a bit of a really big dreamer. He wants to join the scouting corps, the survey corps at some point. And of course you have Mikasa's kind of like telling him, no, you don't want to, da 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 da. In the first episode, we also meet Armin, who's getting bullied, and Eren likes to think he's actually a tough guy, which he is, to a degree. And when he goes and chases after the bullies, he thinks he has something to do with it, and really it was Mikasa. Alright. Anywho, it's during this that we find out that the Titans were starting to run amok out in the wilderness when they saw the survey corps. Well, guess what? The Titans came to the city, and they started beating the shit out of people. Specifically, they killed Eren's mother, and they killed a bunch of other people. They did not get the doctor, who we'll talk about. And that's where I'll leave the story, but let's just say from then on, it becomes one hell of a story. This is the issue. Sorry. The way it's laid out is there are different stories that they tell in Attack on Titan. Okay. But the way they do it is, how do I explain this? There's a story, and each story is divided into parts. Each episode is one part of it. Fine. Where it gets ridiculous, though, is at the beginning of almost every episode, save when they start a new story, they will give you a literal recap of what happened leading up to that episode from the beginning of that story. This is where I gave it the name Recap on Titan, because they did this a lot. And you see, in retrospect, just so we're clear, even though the episodes are about 24 minutes, there's actually less time than that to do. By the time you get, if you really want to break it down, by the time you actually get started with the episode, you have maybe 19, you just have a tick under 20 minutes probably to be able to tell the story that you need to tell. And see, if you're someone like me who is binge watching the show, you don't need the recap because you've been sitting there watching it the whole time. So why did they do that? And here's the killer. Not only did they do that, but there's episode 13 and there's episode 13.5. Well, episode 13.5 is all that is a recap episode of everything from episode 1 to 13 that you just got done watching. Problem? Yeah. It's called, if you knew you were going to put that episode in there, why the fuck did you put a recap in the beginning of every single bloody episode? It was not necessary. You could have started from where you ended the last episode and progressed on your way. You might have actually had time to do more in an episode if you weren't actually just doing that. And that is a big problem, big problem that nobody is willing to talk about with the series. You put the recap at the beginning of the episode, but I've already watched about, goddamn, one of them was like 9 parts long. It was the one with Trust. I just got done watching 6 or 7 parts of it. I don't need the recap because I've seen everything that led up to it. You know what I'm saying? So I just threw my hands up and I just went, this is ridiculous. So that issue with the story really, really bugged me. And I mean, bugged me. Then you get to the characters. I have no issue with Eren because he had a goal after he saw his mother getting killed. He wanted to join the scouting regiment, and he wanted to become a person that his mission was to kill all the Titans. I have no issue with that. Eren was given a key by his father. His father's name's Dr. Yeager. Okay? The key goes to the basement in his house. Okay? However, Eren's like out in the middle of Timbuktu at this point. So the goal is to get back to the basement so he can start to understand the secret of the Titans that his father claims that he knows. Alright, cool. They built this key up during the first 13 episodes. Okay? When you get to the next 12, outside of the, I think, one time when Erwin Smith is showing him the key and they're going over the thing about his father, I don't think the key's actually really ever mentioned again or really even seen until, what was it? Let me think for a second. Oh, till probably the last episode. Maybe there was one other time and I completely either forgot about or I'm forgetting about it right now. But those are the 2 times in the second half of the series. I also need to talk about this when it comes to this series. I'm cool with the idea of having 2 different theme songs. I have no issue with that. The first one is the one everybody quotes on Tumblr. The second one, however, it starts like this really happy and jovial song and then eventually kicks into something even a little hard, but still it's like, I want to kill Titans. I don't want to hear this happy, jovial bullshit. You get what I'm saying? So you're like, you're looking at this and you're like, uh-huh. So you have that issue. Then you have the issue of, we're going to talk about story progression and character development a little bit here. I don't know how to explain this without sounding like I'm really just ripping the series a new one, which I may sound like I already am doing. But I got to tell you a story, okay? Now I have to make you give a shit about these characters. We know this. The thing of it is they don't really do character development in the way that I would have done it. Like, I swear to you, some of the character development episodes they probably did were goddamn boring. Or even if they weren't designated as character development episodes, you might as well have thought they were because nothing happened. Nothing. And here's the worst part about that, right? When you watch this series, you go in with the understanding people are going to die. Okay? You're just going with that understanding. But when you go with that understanding, you have to figure out who's going to die and how much am I really going to give a shit about that character. There was maybe one time I was on the verge of crying, but it wasn't because of somebody's death. It was because of Eren when we found out something about him in the second half of the series. Or near the second half of the series. And that was it. Like, I wanted to give a shit about Levi's squad, but Petra, who got killed, and I'm going to just go ahead and spoil that for you, I didn't give a shit about her because she just didn't, there was nothing about her that made me go, I like you. Okay? There was no, Mikasa became a big fucking nag at one point. And to the point where I literally was like typing in my reaction. I was sitting there going, what are you doing? She was up Eren's ass so much in the series that I swear to you, I was waiting for Eren to go to the bathroom and she would just like come, out. And by the way Levi was talking about taking dumps and all that stuff, and he actually does mention that it's in the dialogue. It's actually funny. And I'm just sitting there going, oh, what? Like, Eren Yeager is supposed to be one of your main characters. He's effectively supposed to be one of your main heroes. You weaken his character, for the most part, by having either Mikasa protect him all the time, or nag him on a consistent basis. Why do you do that? You're supposed to try and make me care about him. And you honestly don't do the job, to the point where I'm sitting there going, what the fuck am I doing? You know, what did you do to this guy? Outside of times when he actually becomes a Titan, or outside of times when he snaps on Mikasa, finally he grows a pair, and he's like, look, I'm not a kid, you're not my parent, or whatever. He almost has balls completely cut off. So, I'm sitting here watching it, I'm trying to care about this guy, and I can't because I got Mikasa on 24/7. Now, Armin was cool. I'll tell you why I liked him. He starts off kind of whiny, and, you know, that happens. So he starts like this on the character development scale. But then he just gradually goes up. You get what I'm saying? And he eventually becomes a very forward-thinking member of the Survey Corps. Okay? To the point where I have no issue with him. And that's awesome. Levi, I had the biggest issue with because he seemed like the world's biggest dick, to be honest. Then I went and looked up who played him, and the guy the guy who plays him in the Japanese version plays Seijiro Akashi from Kuroko's Basketball. So do you know how I managed to suffer through him? I pictured it wasn't Levi talking. I pictured it was Akashi. Alright? So, when I did that, I went, alright, I can deal with you. Kisho Taniyama plays Jean Christensen. Okay? Well, he also plays Natsuki Shinoyama from Yutapuri, Len Sugimori from La Cour d'Oro, and Tatsuya Himuro from Kuroko's Basketball. No issue there. I liked his character. I didn't even have to look up who played Erwin Smith, because I really... There was something about Erwin's character that I really, really liked. Okay? So I take that back. There was actually more characters that I liked. There was actually a lot of characters that I liked, but there was probably more that I really didn't understand their point. Or... I didn't really... I was wishing for them to die. Which I shouldn't, but... they just weren't doing anything for me. The majority of the cast, I swear to you, was... I hope you like that guy because he's going to die. That's literally the way it went. Outside the Titans. Okay? They call this show Japan's version of The Walking Dead. The problem is, because of the way the characters were developed, or not, because of the way the story was progressed, I had the hardest time really getting into this series. Like, towards the very end, when they did the final battle with Yeager and one of the other Titans, that was cool. You know what that reminded me of? For those of you that are old enough to remember this, the old Godzilla movies, when he would go fight Mechagodzilla or Mothra. You know, that was awesome to see, you know, those two slugging it out at the end. But my problem was there was such period. There was periods where it was like absolutely fuck all going on, and I couldn't really get into that. And it was like, put it this way, it felt like when I started to really get into it, they took me out of it. And you shouldn't do that to your viewer. You can say what you want about Kuroko's basketball, but know this. That series has been going on for 73, it'll be 74 episodes today now, as of this recording. And they do everything they can to engage you before, during, and after the episode. They may recap it a little bit, fine, but that may take like 30 seconds. Then they do the theme song and boom, whatever. I've watched that series almost the entirety now, and I've enjoyed that, as we all know. This series, I couldn't get into it. I just couldn't. I'm sorry. If you want to give it a shot, it is on Hulu. It is on Crunchyroll. You can watch it through those services. If you have a subscription on Funimation, you can watch it through there. However, outside of that, I cannot recommend it. Unless you're really itching to go see what the big fuss is about. Oh, I will say this real quick while I'm thinking of it. There was another issue with the subtitles. In the third to last episode, the term they used was bet. When the person who turns out to be the female Titan, which you already know because they sort of kind of reveal it towards earlier in the series. But, like, okay, she says bet at one point, and then in the next episode they switch the subtitle up to gamble. So the subtitles are inconsistent at times. So I wanted to bring that to your attention too while I'm thinking about it. And maybe that's really what threw me off with the series, the subtitles. But anywho, that is the verdict. The next series is going to be... Well, the next series, the final series is going to be A Certain Magical Index. The next review, however, will be Venus Wars. Both of those requested by Derrick Ward, a.k.a. TheCompletionist. So, those should be done. The movie will be Sunday night, Monday at the latest, hopefully. Let's see what the weather does here. And then we will be on to Venus Wars. And then, a month off. And then August, D. Gray Man. So, I will see you all then. I will see you first after Venus Wars, and then after A Certain Magical Index. Take care, my friends, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.